Hey everybody, we're back. And this time we're gonna talk about Destroyer, which is a follow-up to the success of Alive. And I'm sure there's plenty of interesting stories about this record. It's one of my personal favorite album covers by this amazing artist, Ken Kelly. So we're gonna talk to Dennis about his involvement and the design and the selection of the artists. He oversaw everything. He was the art director. And now they have more money, more budget, more success, more media attention. So let's start. What's your earliest recollection of Destroyer as a concept?
All right. As we said in the last interview, the first album I did for them was Alive, which came just before Destroyer. But there was no concept coming from me on that album. So Alive, they just handed me photos and I designed it, but not from concept up, not from zero to final. I already had material to work with. Yeah. So because Alive was so successful for them and $1 million seller, $1 million album seller, they were happy with what I did, apparently. So he asked me to do the next album. And he said, we're coming out with an album. It's going to come out in whatever month. And they didn't even have a title for it. So they asked the agency to come up with a title for it.
You know, that amazes me. And I'll tell you why. Because I've worked with record labels, bands, managers, and it seems to me that the band, either the band or the manager, are always on top of the concept. Some of them are very specific with what they want. And to me, just listen to you saying that a band that, as Kiss, that have become this huge phenomenon back then, were delegating this kind of important decisions to somebody else. It's just
probably Bill. Probably, the band didn't have a title really, and maybe they were talking about a title, but they had none. And so Bill, being used to working with ad agencies from, being in the commercial business that he was, maybe for him it was second nature to say, hey, agency.
Right.
It could be like that. And I have a feeling that's how it happened. So my partner, Vinny, he's good at naming things, I think. And so he made a list of 10, I believe, album titles. All kinds of names. And on the list was Destroyer.
Did you remember any of the other titles? I
don't. I'm trying to. Some of them were awful. Silly, I thought. But he submitted the list and they looked at it and said, Destroyer. We like Destroyer. So that's how it got titled.
So the title came first.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Kind of simultaneously while I was thinking about what to do. And so I know Gene is a big fan of fantasy art, comics, things like that.
Marvel comics.
And right. And I thought that we should make these guys, because of their outfits and their great stage show and all of that, a lot of strong visuals. I thought we should make them kind of like superheroes.
So let me stop you right there. So everybody said historically, everybody thinks turning Kiss into superheroes was Gene's idea, and it wasn't. You're telling me it was yours.
Gene had nothing to do with it. I will say that from now till my dying day, because Gene takes credit for a lot of crap that he didn't do. That's what he does. And Paul too.
Well,
I heard Paul in an interview, and they said, didn't you have an advertising agency helping you out in the beginning and all that stuff? He said, what? I don't know what you're talking about, kind of. For years, we did nothing but work for Kiss, pretty much. Anyway. So, and also the superhero idea, a germ of that came from Sean Delaney. Sean was very involved at the time.
Which was Bill Cohen's partner, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And Sean was their first road manager. He drove them to all their gigs in the beginning. Piled them in a station wagon or something, and they drove from city to city,
Mm-hmm.
So Sean was very involved. And as you know, he helped them with their stage.
The stage movement.
Choreography, yeah.
Yeah.
But Sean felt like he wanted to give me a little input. You know, he didn't want to push himself on me. But he said some things like, you know, I don't know if he used the word superhero, but I got the idea. And so I said, yeah. And I said, well, you know what I'm going to do, Sean, is I'm trying to get a fantasy artist. And I'm going to get Frank Frazetta, if I can.
He was already not a household name, but he was famous in the art world by that
Frank
was right?
Famous. That's right. Not a household name, but if you knew anything about anything, you would know his name. And I knew his name, you know.
So what was your first introduction to Frazetta? Was his Conan book covers? Conan the Barbarian?
Well, I know he did Conan. I don't know where I first saw his work. I really don't know. I can't remember, but I just was aware of him as this great fantasy painter.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I didn't think of him as a pen and ink artist, which he was also.
Yeah, no, he was a great comic book artist, and not a lot of people know
Yeah,
that.
right. I think I found that out later. When I first saw him, it was his paintings, and that's what stuck in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I tracked him down. It wasn't easy.
Lives in upstate New York, right? Back then. He lived in upstate New York back then.
He lived in the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania, in Stroudsburg,
mm-hmm.
East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I tracked him down. I got a phone number. I don't remember exactly how I did all of this, but it wasn't easy because he wasn't advertising himself. He wasn't in the annuals. They don't give you personal information. So I found out somehow. I got his phone number. I called it. I'm calling Frank Frazetta. I felt like I was calling a movie star, you know, really. I mean, to me.
He was in his mid-50s at this point, I think.
1976?
Yeah, it was in his either early 50s, or I think that was, you know.
50 years before that means he would have been born in the late 20s, middle 20s?
No, he started painting after 30. Did you know that?
For who?
He started a career as an artist after he was 30 years old. Before that, he wanted to do a professional baseball player.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't work. And after 30, he just started working as an artist and just did this thing skyrocketing, and everybody started.
Yeah, he was so talented that his talent was immediatly recognized, I think.
He was
he was a hell of a guy. He was a Marine, you know, came out of the Marines.
Very tough guy.
Yeah, tough guy, like a New York guy, you know. I mean, he was cool. He was a cool guy. So
you tracked him down. You called him.
I call him. I get his wife on the phone, and she's acting like she's his agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of told her who I was and what I was up to.
Were they aware of this?
She didn't seem particularly interested, and she also didn't seem like she was ever going to give the phone to Frank. And, you know, again, we talked about this before in the other interview. Do I have to do things besides, you know, being an art director? Yeah, oh boy, do you ever. And I had to be such a salesman on this phone call. I had to convince them that this was a plum job for Frank. A great opportunity. Not that he needed another opportunity, but they all do. I mean, I had to appeal, not to his ego so much, but like he's the perfect guy for the job. For Kiss, they were meant to be together.
Right.
And in my mind, that was true. They were meant to be together. I couldn't think of anybody but Frank. Finally, after a couple of phone calls, because I hung up, I'll talk to him about it. Yeah, I'll call back. Finally, I get Frank on the phone. And I explained to him what it's all about. He never heard of them, of course. And I explained they wear these costumes and they paint their faces and they're, you know, as best I could. And finally, we came up with a price of, you know, I'm going to remember a couple of details, maybe not well. I don't know if we had one price for him to paint the picture, and that's it. We use it for the album, but he keeps all other rights for reproduction. I don't know if we had a price for that or not. But I know the final price because I told him, I said, no, we can't do that. I said, they're going to go into merchandising heavily. They're going to put this image on
Everything.
lunch boxes, underwear, you name it. I said, so we have to own the art. We have to own all reproduction rights. I said, I'll have to buy it out from you. He said, $15,000.
So let me see, with inflation, let me calculate. You know how much?
Yeah, okay.
$15,000 are now? Let me see. Inflation calculator.
$5 million.
You think? No. Inflation calculator. Okay, so if in 1976,
Today's money.
amount 15,000, 2020. Calculate is $67,960,000.
That's a lot of money. Well, I told Frank, I said, well, Frank, it was nice talking to you. I said, I'm not going to bring this price to the band or to my boss. I said, because they're not going to sign off on that. They never pay that much money. So I'm sorry we can't do it. So that was it. That reminds me, people say, oh yeah, well, back in 1955, I was shoveling the sidewalks, the snow for the lady, and she gave me $5. And they'll say, well, that was a lot of money back then. I said, no, it wasn't. It was $5. Anyway, so now I'm screwed. I have a concept. I want to do fantasy art. I want to make them look like superheroes. I want it to be Frank Frazetta, but I can't get him. What do I do now? What do I do now?
Do you think?
Well, the only other artists I kind of knew off the top of my head was a guy named Boris.
Boris Vallejo.
Yeah.
He's still around.
And probably one other guy whose name I can't remember.
Boris is great. One of my favorite too. He's still around.
Oh yeah, I mean, me too. But it didn't have that Frazetta quality,
Right.
Missing. So I said, I'll go to the comic book store. There was a big comic book store on 58th Street, walking distance from the office, between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, north side of the street, 3/4 of the way down. So I went there and walked in, and it had a big wall, just with comics, huge wall, every comic. And I'm staring at them. I feel lost, really lost. I said, where do I begin? But I'm looking for that kind of art, not pen and ink flat art. I'm looking for painterly art.
Right.
And I see Creepy Magazine. And it's got this robot, painting of a robot. That looks like he just came out of a battle or something. And he's standing in a room with computers or something. And I love the style of the painting. I liked it. And I'm looking over here because if I get lucky, I can put my hand on it and I'll show you.
Oh, you still have it?
Yep.
Wow.
It's not the one, but it's the one.
Okay, not the same one, but it's the same issue. Oh yeah. Wow.
So this is what inspired me to call Ken Kelly, who painted this, and also the Destroyer cover.
And that's
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that lovely? I mean, you see the little dents and things on his armor?
Yeah.
And all these little details. And you see the way his face looks? Not really a face, but his eyes kind of go down like this a little bit. In other words, he looks sort of sad.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of sad.
And
so I love the emotion that he could put into it.
The fact that you randomly walked in a comic book store and that particular painting caught your eye, to me, is mind-blowing, because you know that Ken Kelly is related by marriage to Frazetta, right?
I found out later it's his, Frazetta was his cousin through marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
in other words, he married a Kelly girl.
It's a mind-blowing coincidence in a certain way, but
no, it's crazy.
It's really not, because Ken Kelly was influenced by Frazetta.
Sure.
He was a bit younger, but the fact that you put your eye in that particular color is amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was nuts. So I bring the thing back to the office, and I'm looking inside. I can't read the signature. He signs his name. He makes the K kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a weird. Yeah, I thought
it was like a C with a line in it.
I thought it was W, at first. Anyway.
So I couldn't read it. I thought I could read Kelly, but I wasn't sure. So I look inside, and I get the publisher's name or the art director's name of the magazine or whatever.
Yeah.
Warren Publishing, I guess. So I call him up. I get that guy on the phone. I said, I got a creepy magazine cover here. It's got a robot on the cover. I want to get in touch with this artist. Oh, I'm his agent.
Ah!
I said, no, you're not. Give me his number. Wasn't diplomatic with this guy.
Yeah, you were.
Kind of put one over on me and get a little cut of the action,
Right.
I said, no, you're not. Just give me his number. Come on. He's all right. So he gives me his number. And I call Ken and I said, come on in. And I'll tell you what this job is that I have. And, Ken was making, I don't know, really between $100 and $150 for these covers, to paint these covers.
150?
Yeah, peanuts. In today's money, that's $72,000.
$150. Shit, that's less than what I charge.
Oh yeah.
It's $680.
All right. Well, I still thought it was peanuts even back then. I mean, I was used to paying a lot more for good illustration. A lot more, $1,000. So I bring Ken in. I tell him what it's all about. I said it's going to be called Destroyer. I said they should, and I dictated the job to him. I said they should be standing on a pile of rubble. And I'm probably thinking a death dealer, with the skulls and the rocks, maybe subconsciously, not real consciously, but it's in my head. Frazetta was in my head.
I love that painting, by the way.
Death dealer is it.
Yeah.
That's it. And also some of the sexy women. Nobody does sexy women like him. I mean, wow. Oh!
Big rounded buttocks.
Those butts were really great. Anyway, and in the background, I said there's going to be like a city or something, and it's burning down, and it's burning, and there's going to be a fiery sky, and it's, and it's in the distance, and they're on the rubble, and they are superheroes, and they're bigger than life, and, wow, and all of that. I said, not only that, I said, but, and then I jumped up on the desk to give him that angle. I said, that's the viewpoint I want. Not straight on, not down, up.
Coming up, and you're
looking up a little bit.
Right.
He did it. He didn't do it. He didn't exaggerate it, but he did it a little bit. He said, I got it. And I gave him all of the reference material he would need for costumes and faces and all that stuff. And the rest he would have to make up. As you know, he did it twice.
Yeah, he did it first with the live costumes.
Yeah, because that's what they had. And then in the meantime, they were designing new costumes, and he delivered the painting, done, completely done. So the sky was brown, everything was kind of, that's Ken's palette. He likes to use brown and orange a lot, and everything in between, which I wasn't even thinking of those colors when I gave him the job. I just thought there would be a little bit more natural and local colors, how things would be.
Yeah.
So I brought it in, and I was a little bit surprised. I went, brown. But that's okay, because everything else is painted so well. And so I loved it, showed it, everybody loved it. They changed their costumes. We have to do it again.
What was his reaction?
You don't know what you're asking. This guy, the painting is 40 inches square. I mean.
Wow.
You had to do it big because it's a whole scene and it's their whole body. And in proportion, their face is only this big on the painting. So to make it look good and realistic and a good likeness, everything has to be bigger.
So who has these original paintings? Ken?
Who what?
Did he keep the paintings or?
Which one? No, he didn't. No.
So who has the original?
I don't know what happened to the original brown one. But the one that was used, the second one, was lost.
lost.
Destroyed, lost. Bill O'Coin. He had it.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine how much?
He just didn't take good care of it, and it got taken out with the trash somehow. Oh, it's awful. It's awful. It breaks my heart. Breaks my heart.
You know what? This is not uncommon. Not uncommon at all. I did an interview with a guy called David Jefferies.
Yeah, well known.
Do you know him?
I don't know him personally. I know who he is.
He used to be art director, main writer for a British publishing company called Osborne Publishing. We used to do children's book in the 1970s, right? And his job was very similar to yours. His job was just making the layout of this book, writing all the text, and hired all the artists for the illustrations inside this children's book. Now, the quality of these illustrations were amazing. Gouache paintings, really well done.
Yeah.
And I asked him the same question. Do you know where the originals are? And he said most of them were lost. I remember years after I did the book, I went down to the printing place, and some of them were in a warehouse with footstep prints on them.
People, there's no respect for this art. I don't get it.
Yeah, to me, that is mind-blowing. Now, fortunately, nowadays, whenever you do an original, you just scan it and send the scan, and you keep the original. But back then, it wasn't an option. You had to send them for them to took the, the slide that they would later go into the, the mechanical process.
Shot it with the 8x10 camera, a big transparency like this, with bellows on the camera,
And that's why they keep in their archives for current merchandise, right? The original slides.
Right. I had all of those 8x10s of all the paintings, and the actual painting, Bill O'Coin had it, and he lost it. He screwed it up. Well, he went through a period where he was not exactly a responsible guy,
Right, yeah. So were there any backlash from the band because he lost the painting? Anybody was asking for it? They don't care.
No. They don't think about these things. No.
Jesus.
No.
Later,
as they became more famous and more involved in these decisions about what album covers are going to be and look like, then they would know and they'd care. But at this point, they had no input.
I mean,
we just did it.
If I was Gene now, that painting would be like in a place of honor in my living room. That is my prize.
Well, they have Love Gun. They have Love Gun.
Oh, they do have Love Gun. Okay. So anyways.
They had gold frame. A big wide gold frame. The agency had it framed. We had it framed, and it was hanging in the advertising agency's boardroom, conference room for years. It was just hanging there. That was
wow.
But then anyway, they got it.
So going back to when you told Ken that he had to redesign it because they
got to do it again. Ken didn't cry too much about that. He just said, okay. And he had a meeting with Gene. Gene was describing how his new costume was going to be because we didn't have it yet. So he gave him a verbal description. So he was sitting there with Ken as I was listening in. And Ken went off to do it again. I said, Ken, by the way, I didn't like that brown. I said, it really should have a blue cast, the background. The sky, the sun is setting, the fire is lighting up the clouds, whatever. I said, but the sky is blue. I don't want to see brown and orange and all of that. I said, change your palette a little bit. I want to see some blue. And he went, he didn't say, okay. He went, like that. I said, blue. He said, all right. And I think it's much better.
And just to be clear, the original is a rectangle, not a square, right? Because he has the continuation to the back, right?
That's another story. Ordinarily, yeah, maybe. But it's not like being printed, there's a spine on the album, right? Now, spine. There's a break.
Let me get a copy. Where is it?
Well, there's a spine on every album and every book. Oh.
So, yeah, there is the spine, and I can see it's.
Yeah, there's a skinny spine.
Yeah.
The spine, yeah. You know, yeah, that. And I said, in the middle of the production, I said, Ken, I said, I'm going to throw you a little curve. I know we didn't talk about this originally. I said, but I'm going to throw it in. I said, I need a back cover. And I want the back cover to look like it's part of the same scene.
Wow.
As the front. I said, so paint me basically the scene without the guys in it, kind of. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I said, I need a place to put my type, the track listings, and all the rest of the credits. I said, but I would love it to be like that painting, okay? And he wasn't too crazy about that, but he was a good guy, and he did. He was a professional, and he did it. And I don't think it took him that long, you know.
No, obviously not. It's just
he's pretty good.
Some ruins here on fire.
Yeah, you know. But it's got the feeling, and so he did it.
So this was done on canvas, right?
He did it on like masonite.
And it did acrylic or oil?
Oil.
Oil. Wow. It's a fantastic cover. I mean,
but he doesn't. I don't think he uses too much linseed oil when he mixes. He just uses probably turpentine, so it dries quicker. And he probably uses dryers also. I'm not sure.
I used to use that. It's very toxic too, you know.
But he brought it in, and as I recall, it was getting close to deadline time, and he gave it to me. I'm sitting at the at my drawing board, holding it like this, you know. And he gives me a little jar of retouch varnish and a brush. He said, I didn't have time to put varnish on it. It was still a little bit wet. He said, just cover it with varnish, okay? I said, you want me to do that? He said, you won't hurt it. You won't mess it up. All right. So I varnished it. I was very careful to keep my brush strokes all in the same direction. Right. I'm looking at it with reflections, you know, not to get any hairs. So I varnished it.
Wow.
And, that's Destroyer, I guess, you know.
I wonder, is it really lost or somebody has it?
No, it's gone. I read a couple of stories. They were pretty detailed about it. I can't tell you the stories because I don't remember them. But something about Bill either moving or renovating a room or his house or whatever. Anyway, it got thrown out.
Jesus.
Even Bill probably didn't, you know, revere it enough. I certainly did. It was,
can you disclose how much did you pay Ken for the whole job? From the one that was discarded to the final one?
I offered him more money than he's ever seen in his life. And it was actually pretty expensive even for us. But I knew what I was asking on the original. Before we did a second one, before I even thought about doing a back cover, you know, just the front. And I said, I'm going to give you $5,000.
Oh.
And I think Ken peed a little bit in his pants when I said that to him.
That's
in today's money,
$22,000 of today.
All right. Not much more than the $17,000 that Frazetta wanted, right? So he was very, 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 very happy. And I think that's why he didn't complain too much when I said you got to do it again and you got to do a back cover. He was still making how many more times than he was used to making, you know. And the rest is history, because that really put Ken on the map, you know.
Oh, yeah, and he still sells lithographs, signed lithographs of the cover, which I'm sure...
He keeps drawing the Destroyer thing over and over again and doing little minis of it, you know.
He has another painting that is in his online store that I'm not sure what's the origin of it. It's them, the band, just sailing on a Viking ship.
I saw that. Yeah, I know.
That's new. It's not something he proposed to the band, right?
Not me. Nope.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I remember seeing that and saying, "What the hell is that?"
Right. I'm sure it's something he did to have something of his own. And I'm not sure what kind of arrangement he has with Kiss, because I'm sure if they would decide to give him shit about it, they could, right? Just by
Sure?
using the makeup, you know.
Say that again. You sure what?
I'm sure if they would want to give him shit for it because he's using the makeup designs, they could.
Oh,
But I don't know what kind of arrangement he has with Kiss.
maybe none. I don't know. He told me that he did something privately for Gene, but I don't know what it was.
Okay.
I don't know what it was.
Well, he's a great guy. I met him in Miami a couple of years ago.
Ken is a great guy.
I was told a total idiot fanboy, you know, just
Yeah. No, I think very highly of Ken, and he's a professional. He never squawked about anything, you know. He never played the prima donna bit. I think he sees himself as a working artist, just like a cabinet maker would come into your house and measure your wall and build a cabinet. That's the way he sees his craft, and that's the way artists were anyway back in the day.
You know, that's my kind of artist. That's
Michelangelo painted that ceiling. It was hired.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, if you think about it, I've always I went to art school in the 90s, and I struggled through it. I struggled because it was a very tendency-driven art school, meaning what I really wanted to learn was physical techniques and just learn, just develop my skills. And that at that particular time, that place wasn't that. It was a very snobby, concept-driven, socialité type of art.
I can relate to what you're saying.
Which was more about the political aspect of their art, their message, than the skill to do art.
Yeah.
And to me, that was very disappointing. And me and my friends that were fans of Ken Kelly and fans of Frazetta and fans of other very talented artists we were misfits. We were kind of the rebels there because we wanted to.
What school?
Sorry?
What school?
It was a school in Chile, in Valparaiso.
Chile, yeah.
Yeah.
Valparaiso, yeah. I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Pratt is a school for art and design. They have architecture, they have industrial design, they have advertising design, they have painting and sculpture, and fashion. And they're highly regarded school, top school in the country. And I got in. I was happy to get in. It wasn't easy. But when I had all of my design classes or art classes, it was all concept driven, mostly concept driven. And I wish I had physical technique, you know, tutorship. How do you do it? How did you get that effect? How do you get a proper proportion? Where do you start? What's the, you know?
And there was no.
You know, it should be 1 + 2 + 3. Take us through a project like that, and we will learn that way. Absolutely. In other words, like an apprenticeship to a master, right? Like a master would teach his apprentice. Not, oh, just go. That stuff will come later. You'll learn it, but you got to get. No.
That's exactly my experience. It's like we're here to shape the way you think and to shape the subject you have to talk about. Then the skills, you can learn it by yourself, which I eventually did. But that wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was,
it slows you down.
I always have the same discussion with other people that are either into art or art enthusiasts, is the original job of the artist in the Renaissance or even before the Renaissance. They were commissioned artists. They would do what they were hired to do.
Yeah.
And all of that ended at the beginning of the 20th century when, you know, Dada and you know,
yeah. And artists became celebrities.
Artists became celebrities, and it was more of a statement of their own eccentric personalities than the skills to do it, you know?
That's a good way to put it.
And to me, that's it doesn't make my blood boil, you know, like Frazetta or Ken Kelly, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and you could still be true to yourself you know, while doing the job. I mean, you can. You can. You don't have to take the job, but I mean, if you're starving, you will, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I've done a lot of stuff in advertising that I wasn't proud of, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My boss was the boss.
Right.
And he would give me his ideas, which are usually terrible. I try to talk him out of it. A lot of times I was successful. And sometimes I wasn't.
Mm.
And I always just have to go and do that. And it rankled me. I mean, that's the right word. It rankled me. I hated it. But, you know, because I was all altruistic and concept driven, you know, and ego, whatever, you know, and you name it. And so to do somebody's crappy idea and have to bring it to fruition. But I said, you know what? If I have any skill at all, I could take that shit idea and make it look good. I said, this is going to be my challenge.
Right.
Bad idea, make it look good. And that's the way I looked at it.
You said that when you talked to Ken, you kind of described the new costumes. But the ones he painted on the cover look very much like the end result. So did he have photo reference for that final painting of the new costumes?
Not full reference, as I recall. I think some of it was just described to him.
But they look exactly like the ones they were using in the end.
Well, you know what? Maybe they looked at the painting and then went and made some adjustments to the costumes. I don't know.
Yeah, I find that.
Well, you know, Claudio, I mean, that's a good question. I don't want to make anything up.
Because look, if you describe them to them, you must be the best describer in the world.
Well, I know Gene, absolutely. I was there. He was sitting next to Ken in the conference room, and he was describing to him how he wants to look. And he even mentioned the little dents in the armor or something like that.
Wow.
And I said, but that was from Creepy.
You have to see the little dent.
Yeah. And that was on the Creepy cover.
Uh-huh.
So
Who
knows what happened and who looked at what and who said what to who, but you know.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, Ken, thank you so much. Ken. Well, thank you, Dennis. Dennis, not Ken, for doing this.
Dionisio.
Sorry?
If you prefer Spanish. You speak Italian or Spanish?
I speak both.
That's what I thought, damn it. So, Dionisio to you.
Wasn't that the god of wine?
Excess.
Excess, right.
And it fits me perfectly. Back in the day. Not anymore. I'm a good boy.
Well, hopefully, if this pandemic has an end to it, we might hook up and have this conversation with a good glass of wine. You know.
No question.
All right. Thank you so much for doing this. And next one will be rock and roll over. So everybody,
I'll get my brain set for that one. Okay.
Say bye to Dennis. I'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Claudio.